Okay, now that we have everything ready to go, just make sure to select your system and click on the Start button here. That will actually fire up the virtual machine. As you can see, we're booting off the ISO disk that we attached. It's welcome to CentOS 6.6. When you are making the selection to start the installer, what you want to do is make sure that you are going to use the install system with basic video driver. Those are the sequential screens that you'll see me going through the installing wizard with. If you do choose the first option, which is install or upgrade an existing system, that will actually take you through a more graphical user interface where you can use your mouse. I choose to rather use the non-graphical version, and it just makes it a lot quicker and easier. The system will automatically select the different installer if you select the first option based on the amount of system resources that you created for that CentOS box. So if you're installing this on a real physical machine and you happen to have 4 gigs of RAM and a fast processor and you choose the first option, it's going to end up going through that graphical user interface. So when you do the installation, make sure you select Install System with Basic Video Driver. And that's going to give you that kind of blue background screen that we had gone through. So the first installation option here is if we want to test the media. I'm pretty comfortable with it being okay considering it's an ISO off of a disk drive. And to navigate through here, I'm using the Tab key and the space bar. So to say OK here, I click the space bar. And I want to select English, so I just tab over to English. If I wanted to choose a different language, I use the arrows. Makes it very easy to navigate through here. US is okay with me, but you can see there are many other keyboard options if we want to do that if you're in another area of the world. So you'll probably get an error like this. Nothing to worry about. It's pretty standard when you're creating a VM installation. Basically, what I would just do is go ahead and click Reinitialize All. System clock uses UTC, that's fine. Go ahead and select your time zone, and you can see we have time zones for all over the country. I'm in the Eastern time zone, so I'm going to stick with New York. It asks you for a password. You can enter any password you want. I'm just going to use asterisk. Typed it in, hit tab. Type it in again, hit tab, and move it over to OK, and spacebar for OK. Oh, it threw an error there for too simple of a password. Since this is just a demonstration system, I'm not that worried about it. On a production system, obviously you do want to have secure passwords. So I'm just going to go ahead and use this anyway. So here it's going to ask me how I want to allocate the disk. I'm actually going to scroll it up to where it says Use Entire Drive. Tab down and select OK. And there's nothing on this. This is a virtual disk that's been created out of thin air. There's no data on there. I'm not worried about losing anything. So I'm going to go ahead and select Write Changes to Disk. Now this is going to go through and install the minimal operating system, And once that's done, then we'll be able to go in and install the packages that are required for Asterisk. All right, now installation is complete. I hit spacebar and it'll reboot the system for me. So now the system has been rebooted. I can log in using my username, which is going to be root for everybody, and then the password I entered during installation, which I used asterisk. Now I'm logged into the system. This is a Linux terminal. So if you're familiar with Linux, you'll know your way around here. If you don't worry, I'll walk you step by step through the commands. The first thing I want to do is just see what the IP address is. So I'll do ifconfig, and the Ethernet adapter has not been enabled. So what I'm going to need to do is actually go and enable the Ethernet adapter. And to do that, I'm going to have to use a program called VI. It's a command line interface to edit text-based files on a Linux system. So I'll type the letters V as in Victor, I as in India, and the file we need to edit is going to be in etc, etc sysconfig network dash scripts, and then if eth0, if config eth0. And you see I was completing those some of those steps very quickly. If you use the tab key, that's actually going to skip you forward, so you don't have to type the whole line out if you know what it is. So you can type the first few letters, hit tab, and it should auto-complete. If it doesn't, you can hit tab a couple of times and it'll display the list of files. As you can see right above here, I did tab and that displayed all the files for me. So now that I have the command and the correct file, I'm going to hit enter. Now in VI, I can't just start typing or moving my arrow around to make the changes that I need to do. To get into an editable mode, I actually have to press the letter A, which will allow me to insert. So you can see the insert is down at the bottom here. And now I can use my arrow keys to get to where it says on boot. And it's set to no, which means on boot that network adapter is not going to be looking for an IP address. It's just turned off and disabled. So we need to set this to yes. So you simply use the keyboard commands just like you normally would. Set it to yes, and then at that point you hit the escape key, and then you hit shift semicolon to give you the colon. And I actually hit too many there. But you can see down here I'm entering the command in, and this is all commands to actually save the file, which is going to be W to write and then Q to quit. So I'm going to write and then quit, and to enter that command I just hit enter, and now that file has been modified. And what I can do to force the system to get the IP address and to enable the network device is do a service network restart, and just type that in just like that, hit enter, and you can see that it shut down the loopback interface, brought the loopback back up, and then in the process it also brought up that interface ETH0. And it's getting the IP address for that. So now if I do an ifconfig, which is going to be similar to your IP config on a Windows machine, you'll see that now we have two interfaces. We have the loopback interface, and then we also have that Ethernet interface where we are getting a 192.168.110.212 address. So now that I have an IP address from this machine, I can actually just access it from the command line of my machine, and I don't have to use this virtual machine window.